If you're feeling stuck or frustrated, trying to support your child as they navigate another big emotion, the emotion naming scaffold strategy is exactly what you'll want to start using so that you can help your child start recognizing emotions sooner, naming them so that you can start having the breakthrough conversation that'll lead to success. And if you're one of my parents out there who says, BJ, my kid goes from 0 to 60 like that, I can never catch them before it comes on, I've got another aspect of this strategy that can help you too. If you've been following me here on this channel or just generally been in touch with any type of resources for helping kids with big emotions, you'll notice that they all seem to talk about helping children notice emotions sooner. And that's important that we do some pre-teaching with children about what are different types of emotions so they don't think it's just happy, sad, mad, or glad, that they have a richer emotional vocabulary that they have access to, that we help them notice emotions in the world around them by looking at emotions when we see them in videos and cartoons, because those are great places where emotions are often exaggerated, or books and literature when we're reading, stopping and saying, hey, how's this character feeling? Why are they feeling that way? Or even just as we're going to and fro around the world, noticing emotions around us. Yes, all that's important, and we need to be doing that important work if we're going to help children start recognizing emotions in themselves, which is probably the hardest thing to do. They often can notice them in others, but noticing in self is a bit of a leap. But what about when we're in it? When that moment comes when the kid is slamming the kitchen cabinets because the snack he wanted isn't there, or stomping up the steps because the toy she wanted is being used by another sibling who isn't willing to share. That's where the emotion naming scaffold strategy is exactly what you want to do. Our kids come to us with all kinds of different verbal skills and abilities to reflect. And let's face facts, the biology that's going on in the moment of a big emotion is not really helping us out at that point. Remember what's going on in the heart and the brain. In the brain here, we're talking about the upper brain and the lower brain, and how when your child's struggling with a big emotion, they're down in that lower brain. They're down in the brainstem, in the amygdala, where they have fight, flight, freeze, appease, where they've got lots of emotions, but they don't have their verbal skills. That's up here in the logical executive area of the brain, the upper brain. So they're down in a part of their brain where they don't have access to all of their verbal reasoning skills. So recognizing the cues and being able to name the emotion biologically is going to be a challenge for lots of people, including kids. But if you're one of us who struggles with big emotions, it's even harder because we go deeper into the brain there. So we need to sort of scaffold the support to help lift our child up into the upper brain where they can start the conversation so that we can then start putting in the strategies that'll help bring calm, and we can have the conversation about why we're feeling that way and what we need to do to move forward. But we first have to get up into more of the executive state. So the emotion naming scaffold is exactly that. It's giving the scaffolds that your child needs so they can get up into the executive brain. And since I find a good visual aid helpful, I made one for you, but I put it right here on my nifty chart paper. I am not putting a big graphic and spending lots of time in the editing room on this video. We're just going to hold this up anytime we need to. So here we go. We're doing it old school. Think about the scaffolds like a construction site, hence the sign over here too. But we want our children as much as possible to be on the ground floor. That's where it's nice and safe. That's where we can have lots of conversation. That's where we can do the real work of overcoming the big emotion as it comes on, so we can calm and discuss and plan and start addressing whatever it is that brought that emotion on. But not everybody's on the ground floor. So we're going to talk about the ground floor, and then the first floor, second floor, and third floor. So let's get moving on the ground floor. Let's put this in the context of a story. Let's say you and I are parents and we're walking into the kitchen and we see our child slamming the kitchen cabinets a bit, just kind of really frustrated. We see their eyebrows are down and their mouth is really in that angry position where we're starting to see some teeth. Okay, that's what we walk into, and we see that. We don't know why it's going on. We have an idea maybe why it's going on. It's right around snack time. Maybe their favorite snack is out. We were meaning to get it, but we don't really know what's going on. And we see what's happening here. And our child's just, they're slamming the doors. A lot of us will do one of two things. Some of us are going to walk in there and be like, hey, don't be slamming the doors. That's not going to work. That's not going to be effective. We're cornering our kid emotionally, and they're going to feel the need to shout at us now. So let's not use that strategy. It's not going to be effective. Let's talk about the ground floor. If our child is a child who can talk more about their emotions and notice their emotions pretty well, we can simply walk in, and at the ground floor, we're just going to say, hey, whoa, bud, how you feeling? Just that simple question of how you feeling. If our kid is a ground floor kid, as we might say, they can answer that question. They can say, oh, I'm just really frustrated, Mom. I wanted to have this snack and it's not here, or whatever it might be. But lots of us are not on the ground floor yet, and that's okay. So let's go to the first floor. Our child is not a child who can just handle the very open-ended question, how are you feeling right now? They need a little bit more support. And so we want to keep the question, how are you feeling, as we go up to the first floor and build the scaffold, because we're trying to meet them where they're at. But we're going to help them identify their body cues by naming them for them. So we're going to say something as simple as, whoa, bud, I noticed that you're slamming the kitchen cabinets and your eyebrows are pointed down and you're grunting. How are you feeling? Do you see what I did there? I didn't just tell the kid how they're feeling yet. I didn't offer any emotional language. I'm only on the first floor where my kid has a lot of abilities to name lots of emotions, but maybe they struggle with noticing their own body cues. So I'm naming the body cues because the more I can help my child start building the bridge between what their body is feeling and doing and emotions, the faster they're going to be at noticing their own body cues and responding to them. So that's what the first floor looks like. And that's how it's a little bit different than the ground floor. Now, already some of you are saying, my kid's a first floor kid. They just need me to build the scaffold up to there and they can handle the rest. Absolutely. But many of us are saying, oh, I need more, BJ. My kid's not on the first floor. And maybe they're on the second floor. Okay. Let's go up. Let's build the scaffold a little bit higher. Let's go to the second floor and talk about what does it sound like when you and I walk into the kitchen and we see our child doing the same thing, slamming the cabinets, eyebrows, whole works. How do we support them at the second floor? The scaffold needs to be a little bit higher. Again, it's not too complex. We're going to take what we did on the first floor, but we're going to offer a little bit more support. So now I'm still going to name the body cues that I'm seeing, but I'm also going to start offering a choice about the emotions that might be happening right now. So it's going to sound something like this. I'm going to walk in and say, whoa, bud, I'm noticing you're slamming the kitchen cabinets and your eyebrows are pointed down. You're starting to grunt. Are you feeling frustrated or angry? Notice what I did with my body there too. I kind of visually support them with putting the two emotions I'm naming in my hands. But do you hear the difference between the ground floor, the first floor, and now the second floor? We have gone from just saying, hey, how you feeling? To now we're saying, hey, here's the body cues, and here are two possible emotions. Which one are you feeling? Now, at the second floor, I find a lot of kids can start talking to us, and they can turn to us and name one of these emotions. Or if they're really deep in their brain and they're really not accessing their verbal cues, because you put your hands out, they might just point to one of your hands. And that's information they're telling you. They're not trying to disobey, most likely in that situation. They just really don't have access to their verbal cues just quite yet. So when they point to a hand going, you can say, oh, okay, you're just feeling angry right now. Okay, what are you angry about? And we're going to start the conversation now. We're going to see if they can handle the conversation. If they can't, we're going to use some calming strategies. Take a deep breath, get a drink of water, and then we'll talk about it. To the point where then we can talk. But when they're refusing to talk, that's a signal to us that they're not quite up high enough yet. And so we need to use some calming tools to help. That's another video that we've got here on the channel. I can link it down below, and you can find it all over the place on my YouTube channel because I've got a lot of those. But that's what the second floor looks like. And that's how we get the conversation started. But some of you are saying, BJ, my kid's not there yet. I think I need more. Great. We've got the third floor. So your child might be up on the third floor, and we need to build the scaffold even higher. Offering that choice of picking an emotion is not enough for them. So here's what it looks like. We're going to narrow the emotion down and simply say this. Oh, wow. I noticed that you're slamming the kitchen cabinets and you've got angry eyes with your eyebrows down and you're grunting. It looks like you're feeling angry. That's the language shift from 2 to 3. It looks like you're feeling angry. Now, at level 2 and level 3, we're naming some emotions, and our kid might not be feeling the exact emotion that we named. That's okay. They might turn to us and say, no, I'm just frustrated, when we said we thought they might be angry. That's okay if they do that. We want to encourage that. We're going to look at that and say, oh, okay, tell me more. Think about what just happened. If they look at you and say, no, I'm just frustrated, what does that tell you? It tells you your scaffolding is working and they're starting to get back up here in their executive brain. And their heart is in a place that they want to engage, they want to talk. What's happening when we're doing this scaffold is we're telling our child, I'm going to meet you where you're at and help you get to where you need to be. Is that not what Jesus does for us all the time? Does he not meet us where we're at and help us get to where we need to be? That's what we're trying to do for our child. We're trying to say to our child, your heart is in a place where it's got some big emotions going on. That's okay that you're feeling that. Emotions are not bad. Emotions are a gift from God. And yes, that includes big emotions. And so we're going to help you, though, because it's tricky and it's dangerous navigating big emotions this high. So we're going to help you calm down with some other calming techniques and have a conversation. But sometimes it takes us scaffolding that support so they can see that we see them. What we're saying with this is we're saying, I see you and I recognize you're in a place that you need some support and I'm here to support you. When we come in and say, whoa, stop slamming we're telling a kid, I don't see you, I see the behavior and it's got to end. But when we say this type of thing, where we're using an emotional naming scaffold, we're saying, no, the behavior's there. Let's talk about the heart that I'm seeing, though, and we'll talk there. Does that mean I never address the slamming of the cabinets? No, I'll address that. We're going to come up with a better way to respond later on. Remember what I told you? This emotional naming scaffold is just to start the support for that child. We still have to get a drink of water, play with a fidget, get a hug, whatever the thing is that helps them kind of take a deep breath and calm. And then we need to come up with a plan. Like, we have to go through that. That's not what this is. This is just trying to get into the conversation and support our child to get them to the ground floor. That's what we're trying to do here. But BJ, you say, my kid goes from 0 to 60 like that. There's no way I can do some scaffolded support. They're immediately yelling, screaming, kicking, punching, slamming things. Okay, I hear you. These kids exist. This emotion comes on big and fast, and it is challenging to support them. Can you try this? Absolutely, and I probably would start at level 3. See if you can get there. But this may not be what they need. What they need instead of trying to notice body cues, because that whole scaffold is built on body cues. And what you're telling me is this kid's body cues come on so fast, there's almost no time to notice the body cues. What instead we need to do is we need for them to notice the environmental cues. Lots of kids, and adults too, struggle with emotions in very similar environments. You know when they're going to come on. Oh, we've got peas as a vegetable tonight for dinner. Brace yourself. They've got math homework tonight. Brace yourself. Here we go. I'm going to wake them up, and we're going to go through the fight of what to wear this morning. Oh boy, we're loading up for the car. I hope they don't scream about who's getting to sit in that seat. You know these situations. So those are the environments we need to prepare our kids for. We need to talk to our kids about the environments where they struggle the most and give them strategies that help them in those moments to prepare their hearts and head on in. So if your kids are arguing about who gets to sit where in the car, you're having a conversation in the foyer or at the front door of your house about, hey, we're about to load up into the car. Now remember, when we load up, many times we get into a fight about who's sitting where. What can we do so we don't end up in a fight? And have that conversation there and plan it out. Or remember to have a positive attitude about taking the seat that you get. And we talk about that, but we have this little pre-game talk. I equate these conversations to that locker room talk a coach has right before a big game. Doesn't matter what the sport is, if it's an individual sport or team sport, before you go out and play the game, coach has a locker room meeting. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. The coaches and the players, this is their job. This is what they're paid to do. They practice Monday through Friday, maybe even Saturday, but they practice 5-6 days a week, 8 to 10, maybe more hours. I don't know. I'm not a pro athlete, but they are practicing all day long. They were watching videotape and talking about what they're seeing. They're in the weight room. They are running drills and practices. They're doing all kinds of workouts and eating certain foods. These people are really dedicated. It's 5-6 days a week, full time. Okay, so when we get to the game, why do we need a 5-minute conversation before the game starts? We just spent who knows how many hours practicing for this moment. Why? Because we're in the moment and our brains are in a different place, our hearts are in a different place, our bodies are in a different place. And so that 5-minute pep talk is what's needed to get us laser focused on the challenge ahead. Our kids need coaches in their lives who can laser focus them on the challenge they're about to experience when they're about to load up to the car, when they're about to have to eat a meal that some of the food is not what they're going to like, when they have to do homework that they don't like. Whatever the challenge is, those are the environments we have to prepare. Our kids who can handle the scaffolding, they benefit from this too. All kids benefit from this strategy. But it is essential. If you're telling me your child is one of our 0 to 60 folks who just explode with emotions, this is an essential tool that you've got in your toolkit that you're using, because this is where you can remind them of the skills that they're working on, the strategies they have to exercise. And guess what? Sometimes we're going to see success, and it's vital for you to point out the successes and congratulate them on the successes they have and specifically name what they were doing that made it a success. And when they struggle, it's important for us to support them in the struggle and help them through those moments as well. If you're finding this emotion naming scaffold strategy helpful, go ahead and support me by hitting that thumbs up button, and support yourself by checking out the Parenting Summer Sanity Camp I developed. It's a 4-part workshop parenting series that I developed, and you can go ahead and check out. I'll put the link down below. Check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it because we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg here. And if you're hanging out here on YouTube longer and you want to learn how to help your child notice emotional signals even more, you're going to check out the video I'm going to put right here. And if you're just wondering what else in my content library would be helpful, I'm going to let YouTube tell you what that is next.